Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's Dove and Bullet session. I know we have a few people still joining us. I would really like to welcome everybody who is joining us on this session today, hosted by the World YWCA. We're honored to be joined by Palestinian activists and advocates who are doing incredible work in the face of such challenging circumstances in the current genocide. Know what you are going to hear today will move you and give insight to the courage and the creative ways in which education is still being provided despite the attack on education in Palestine today. And really like to introduce now our speakers. We are joined by incredible Palestinian activists. Riham is based in Palestine, and she is an educator with over 12 years of experience in English language teaching. Um, she is also a university lecturer and has a very strong background in translation, international relations, and project coordination. And she is also a MEP-LI Fellow at the Harvard Graduate School of Education and actively volunteers with the Palestine Red Crescent Society. We also have with us an incredibly brave man who we've also met and spoken with, called Yusuf Saeed Abdullah Awad. Yusuf is the director of the Janine Center for Culture and Creativity in Palestine. Through his work, Yusuf leads cultural, artistic, and educational programs that foster community engagement and creative expression. With a master's in peace and development studies from the University of Gothenburg in Sweden, he brings decades of experience in cultural development, international relations, and conflict resolution. And I know what you're going to see and hear from him will be so powerful and moving. Our third speaker, May, is the Business Development Director at the World Organization of the Scout Movement, based in the Arab Regional Office. She's based in Egypt, and May has over 20 years of experience in the non-profit sector with a special focus on humanitarian action, education, and strategic development. Now, I know in today's session, what you're going to hear is going to be powerful. It will also be sometimes emotional and distressing. So I'd really like to ensure that people are, ensure that they are taking care of themselves, taking care of their mental health as well. In terms of the safety of other participants, would really like to ensure that this is a really safe space. Please be respectful of all views shared. We will not tolerate disrespectful comments of speakers or audience members, and we kindly ask you to be very sensitive culturally as well. If you make any comments in the chat, please come with an open mind to this listening session and a willingness to learn. If you are asking a question, please use inclusive language as much as possible, as we are a global session here, and please consider how diverse audiences and participants might interpret the words that you share. Now, I just want to begin the session by sharing that one of the main things of this event and the timeliness of it is the sad recent announcement of the ongoing genocide, but also the peace plan. We know that although this peace plan has come about, the genocide is continuing and the attacks on education are ongoing. We will talk about the state of education following the 2 years of genocide in today's session, but we will also look importantly ahead at what needs to be done and what will happen if the ceasefire doesn't hold. There are interconnected issues here of mental and physical health and education, which our speakers will talk about. I just want to share some background to the current state of education in Gaza today. In the Gaza Strip alone, over 172 government schools were completely destroyed. 118 government and UN schools have been bombed and damaged, and more than 100 UNRWA schools and facilities have been hit and destroyed. These are all lives of young people and children. In the West Bank, 150 schools were damaged, and 8 universities and colleges have been repeatedly attacked and vandalized. Now, I know the ongoing genocide has caused relentless bombardment It's caused a decimation of vital services, and the imminent famine has translated into a destruction of the fundamental tenets of childhood. Research shows that children have no escape from the realities of this war, no routine, no ability to play in a safe environment. Education in emergencies is an essential part of having a key humanitarian safe space for children. In today's session, we're going to be hearing from those who are on the front line of working to rebuild education and providing quality education in such challenging circumstances. Now, I want to go to our speakers and would like to ask them to introduce a little bit about their stories so we get a real insight into education in Palestine today. So I'd like to ask each of you about a memory or perhaps a moment or realization which has deeply affected you or your work over the past 2 years as we've witnessed the genocide in Gaza being carried out in front of everybody's eyes. Globally, we can see what is happening, the escalation of Israel's brutal occupation in the West Bank. Yusuf, I'd like to come to you first. Can you share what this has been like for you?
صباح الخير بونجور buongiorno buenos dias for hello for everyone. Thank you so much for giving me the chance and also my colleagues to speak to you with this people who are feeling of solidarity and who are interested to know more about the Palestinian cause, about what's going on in Palestine. Where I live now here in Jenin, the city of gardens, the city that back to 3000 BC, where it's mentioned in the Tel al Amarni archives that it's very vivid area. But unfortunately, Jenin is now is as like a small part of Gaza. What is still in my memory, still it will never be deleted till I die, is what happened 2 years ago when I was coming here to the center as usually every day, and we welcome or we work with children and with their families, with teachers, with different groups, musicians, dance, theater, fine arts, sport. We had girl football team, unfortunately, but this football team is not working again because the playground being destroyed by the Israeli bulldozers. What happened 2 years ago when I was sitting here where I am talking here in my office, I heard shooting outside. Just it was very scary just to look from the window. Just when I opened the window, I saw 5 undercover police with their heavy guns, and they opened fire. Unfortunately, 2 young people killed, and one of them, he was a child. He's the son of my neighbor. His father owned a shop of medical equipment shop. Just he fall down from on his bicycle, and he get 2 bullets. And unfortunately, when they took him to the hospital, he was died. This experience, it will never be deleted from my mind. 1 year ago, 2 years ago, also my daughter, she's studying at the Arab American University. The 21st of July, there was a very, very heavy attack against Jenin and the Jenin refugee camp. My daughter, she was panicked how she will get back where we live. She contacted her friend. Her friend, she was only facing the tanks, facing the military jeeps on the main street. She's not able to find a way how to arrive safely to her house. My daughter, after 3 hours or 4 hours, she managed to get back after lots of coordination with some friends, just how she can go here and there till she arrived after 4 hours. This is how our childhood, this is how our students are facing their daily life when they go every morning. Just the Palestinian parents, just when they wake up in the morning, just the first thing they look, how's the situation? How's the security situation? They look Instagram or Telegram to find whether there is part of Jenin is attacked or not, whether this east or west or the center is under attack or not. These are the memories still in our minds, I'm talking about 22,000 people from the Jenin refugee camp who've been, after the 21st of July, they became displaced. Since 9 months, they are not able to go back to their houses. And two boys, they will be you will see them on the report by TRT ward. Two boys, they heard that the army went out. They withdrew from the Jenin refugee camp. They tried to go back to their houses to find, to see, they are eager to find what happened to their houses. Unfortunately, they've been killed just before they arrive or they reach to their houses. These are the challenges. This is the reality of our children or the childhood in Palestine. It's not only here in Jenin, but you find it on the checkpoints, the daily insult, the daily violation for human rights.
Thank you, Yusuf. What you share is just showing us the realities of how much climate of fear and, psychological impact that is being had on children every day. Going to school is meant to be something children look forward to, but it's not something that is possible under the current genocide. The video you have mentioned, we will share now.
This video shows the undercover. This is the boy. This is the boy, Omar. This is in front of our cultural center. This is the soldiers who killed him. Just they withdraw without giving him. He was innocent, just he was riding his bicycle.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely
The other
too
video
much.
about the two boys who tried to go back to their houses, that's from the TRT World report.
Yes, we're going to have that shared for our participants to watch as well. And as we continue the conversation, hopefully they will have an opportunity to look at that video, as you mentioned. I'd like to go to Reham now to build on your own experience of the genocide and how it has impacted your work, Reham.
Well, hey, everybody. I'm just gonna move the story from the north, Jenin, going to the south, to the West Bank. We are sharing the same memories and the same story and the same events, actually, but in different places. Well, this is Riham Sharif. I'm speaking today as an English language lecturer. I've been working at English language teaching and learning since 12 years now. I'm also a volunteer at the Palestine Red Crescent Society. So we are engaged on the critical lines. We try to help people and provide the humanitarian aids as much as we can. And I'm just trying to link my story with the stories mentioned by my colleague Yusuf. We all know that, like the West Bank, we don't see bombs going down here in our houses or our universities, but we do see other things. We do see the daily assaults, as killing like a boy who's passing by while you're waiting a taxi. Or, for example, you have a lecture at the university at 8 o'clock that used to take 15 minutes to be there, and now you need more than 1 hour and 30 minutes. Why? Because of restriction of movement. This is another way they started to like suffocate people, psychologically speaking and even physically speaking. So one of the events, if I want to just like mention something that was really like heartbreaking or something, I do remember when the genocide has started like 2 years ago. We used to just go to the university like every day, and like any other day, having our like you prepare everything and you just go normally. When the genocide just started, I've entered the hall at the university, and I can tell that the faces of every single person inside is pale. It's literally pale. And one of the girls started to cry like really. It's she's just like rushed into tears and asking me, why are we learning? And why are we here at the university while people in Gaza are being killed just for no reason? This is a very hard question, but we try to struggle. Everything is hard in our lives here. So even teaching and learning the languages or anything, just having your BA, just having the normal things in everyday life, it's really um, sacrificing things, tiny details. So yeah, now if you want to go to the university, you need to arrange your things and get your things 2 hours earlier than the day, the time actually you have to be there. Unfortunately, because they started the system of building the gates and they closed them on every single entrance of the city itself. So even in Hebron, if you want to go from one place to the other one, you will choose to just go other ways. People are trying to invent places or paths even between the houses to reach their destinations. So we are talking about psychological effects too, and the physical things. Don't expect the students to be 100% mentally aware of the things that you're explaining, and they understand everything, while they feel scared for their families who actually stayed at home, and the soldiers are just trying to check on the houses there and make a very quick arrest round. So it's happening every single day. So don't expect students to be normal students who are just coming here to take the knowledge that you're delivering, or actually acting like everyday normal life. So
Thank
situation,
you.
yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much, Raham. And, I can only imagine the compounding effect of the occupation on their, mindset,
Yeah.
trauma as well. Like having to come to university with a state of shock and trauma is not ideal for any student to be able to learn. I want to move to May to ask for her reflections on what you have both shared, and also to share a bit about her experience working within the Arab Scout movement, and how genocide has continued to impact the work that she's doing.
Thank you so much, Latifa and Riham and Yusuf. Actually, this is a deep question because we have grown up in this education. This is not new, and this is not since the genocide have started, because we all have these circumstances when we were growing in Palestine and going to school and having all these attacks. I can recall that from my memory of my educational journey in the university, in the schools back in Nablus. And I think I was thinking and reflecting what is one of the really situation that affected me and sometimes also put me in tears, in addition to what we have seen every day on the ground in Gaza happening. I'm leading a campaign called Sanad. It's a campaign that is targeting the Arab region and all the world to support the Palestinian scouts and other affected scout organizations like Sudan and Lebanon at that time, and to mobilize resources and collaboration between partners to support the scouts in each country to really to be able to respond to these circumstances like genocide or other human-made conflicts in other countries as well. And I was in Jordan visiting one of the scout groups, and there was a small young girl. The campaign was that each scout member need to send a tent and a mattress to another scout sister or brother in Gaza. And she was telling me, the young girl, like, leader, that I usually use this tent for fun, for adventure, for camping, for going around my country. And now I'm giving this tent to another sister or brother in Gaza to live in. But I'm not sure if the tent will survive for how many years and when they can really use it for fun. Like, do you think that it will survive? And I was like, okay. I told her, we have hopes and we should pray that it will survive, or at least we can bring them another tent at that time. But I was thinking about that for her, this is something like a luxury in her life. And now she's giving to another kid in Gaza, and she know that they will sleep in it. This will be their home. This will be the space that they live their daily life. But she don't want this memory to stay linked or attached to the genocide. She wanted to have the tent. It's what we do in scouting. It's a skills for life. And this also brings me what scouts started to do at the genocide when everything happened and all the border closed. And we were talking to the leaders in Gaza, and they said, what we're doing now is teaching the civilians life skills. What we used to do in our adventures, camping or hiking, or where we were sleeping on mountains for days. Now we're teaching people these skills to survive, how to fire, how to make a safe fire, how to make an oven, how to build tents, how to do water harvesting, and how they managed to transfer these life skills into more survival kits for their families initially, and also for their neighbors, for the people around them. And although this is a good opportunity and a power, but this is also something that makes you reflect more on many things you have in your life as a luxury. And sometimes it became attached into a memory that really can stay in your mind. I look at the whole educational system in Gaza and the whole component of the educational system. And if you think about it from an infrastructure, it is devastated, it is damaged with a high percentage, as you mentioned, Latifa, at the beginning. If you think about the human resource and the delivery team, starting from teachers, educators, youth scout leaders, they were all heavily affected psychologically, economically, socially, humanity, from all aspects. The delivery team is heavily affected. If you look at the impact group, the kids and the students, they are in another level of psychological trauma. We cannot start and execute a normal educational system with these kids now, after all what they have been through in Gaza and also in West Bank. And also the whole educational system and governance is collapsing because of the genocide. So every time we think about where to start in the system, how can we start? I think this needs really a great collaboration to really rebuild or recover the experience they had. And if you look at all statistics, you will also see that when there is a cut in the educational journey for many kids, the return is hard and it's not easy. And it will require double the effort to bring back the kids to their educational journey and to recover them. Hopefully, inshallah, it will end and they will have more years to recover what they have lost. But it's not going to be recovered easily, and it requires a lot of collaboration and recognition and understanding their needs and what they have gone through. And I think listening to Riham and Youssef and many stories is not told or captured. The daily stories of people, whatever we try to write it in blog or to record it in videos, it's like the experience is not assessed enough. And every spot have a different experience to seize and to try to have education. And maybe my last word will be that because education for Palestinian is core, I recall when we all grow up, we were telling education is your weapon. Education is everything you have. They can take your land, they can take your home, they can do everything, but they cannot take your mind. You will always need to have your mind full. And that's why maybe we have the lowest illiteracy rate in the region and maybe in the world, because this is something really important. And seeing what is happening now with all the educational system in Gaza bring us to really to a moment, that's how we can really collaborate that, and how to collaborate to make that happen, and to really bring this system back to the kids and give them the opportunity for quality education. This hold us all accountable. Although it's a voice of hope that, okay, there will be, inshallah, everything coming back, but this is really a good accountability trigger for everyone to move on. So yeah,
Thank you so much, May. You know, what you've just shared there, you know, the work that you do with the Scouts at a time when, you know, everybody is fearing their lives and doesn't have access to any basic necessity to live a normal life, losing everything, you know, that sense of safety or sense of security for the future. It's just even more important now, isn't it? Non-formal education like Scouts movements, able to help rehabilitate the Palestinian youth and children when they're facing such challenges. I know there was a video that you wanted to share, so I'm just going to ask for our tech person to share this now.
في القدس المحتلة لا يسمح للكشاف الفلسطيني برفع رايته ولا بتنظيم طابور واحد بلا قيد أو ملاحقة، ويرفع السلاح في وجهه. وفي غزة دمرت الغارات مقرات الكشافة واستهدفت مخيماتهم وأنشطتهم التطوعية والإغاثية. وبين الشهداء في العدوان الأخير قادة كشفيون وأشبال حملوا الشارة والرسالة للسلاح. في الضفة الغربية محاصرون لا يستطيعون القيام بأبسط أنشطتهم بسبب الحواجز والبوابات الحديدية التي تقطع أوصال الضفة. الكشاف الفلسطيني يلاحق لأنه يحمل هوية لا بندقية. من القدس إلى غزة تستهدف الحركة الكشفية رغم طابعها الإنساني والوطني.
Thank you so much for sharing that video with us. I think it just is so powerful to see how, you know, Palestinian Scouts Association is doing incredible work, but under such difficult circumstances, how they are also being targeted. I want to move on to talking a bit more about formal and non-formal education within Palestine. You know, how has your work, May, supported Palestinian Scout associations and local Scout leaders in Gaza at a time when, you know, we know that, you know, formal education is so difficult to access? If you could talk a little bit about that, and then we'll come to Yusuf.
Yep, thank you, Latifa. Actually, since the beginning of the genocide, we saw a lot of campaigns and actions and call for actions across the region, because people really wanted to support the Palestinian Scout Association. Because in our mandate as Scouts, yes, we are an educational movement, but we have a huge component on being ready and do like serving our community in a need. And we do all have in our curriculums a humanitarian action response, and how we can react when we have any humanitarian action on ground. So luckily we had a lot of leaders who were equipped with skills. We were equipped with all these coordination and managerial and networking skills to be able to mobilize existing resources on the ground, bringing people, also attracting other volunteers and community leaders to support managing the shelters, creating psychological exercises and activities. Because Scouts, we do a lot of activities with kids. It's easy to put a leader in front of a couple of kids. He can make a lot of entertaining program for them and stress relief program for hours, because this is what we do. It's not something that you need like capacity building and to go through the full list of training for them. So we recognize that also all these leaders were also personally affected. Their families were not secure, were were totally affected. They were displaced in different areas, and across the whole genocide time, we were always reflecting how many people in each area, how they can support, how we can fulfill their basic need as well, and then so that we can allow them to go and serve the rest of the community, how they can mobilize community leaders and create new non-scout volunteers to support them and their initiatives. And they have responded to, like, have done a lot of different initiatives in Gaza, and one of it was like the informal education, bringing like university students and educators and try to create small classrooms in the shelters, like for so that the kids will still be connected to education in some way. It was not something formal, no concrete curriculum were executed, but what they were trying to do is to keep the kids connected to education, because in all statistics also would say if the kids start disconnecting from the learning journey, this will have a really negative impact on their mind. And we saw a lot of collaboration across the different countries in the Arab region and beyond, where people were trying to react and give their all. Like people, we saw a lot of campaigns in different countries, sending a lot of supplies to the scouts. And what we also see that everyone was ready to support in the proposal development and the fundraising efforts, and like, because we know the Palestinian Scouts were extremely busy managing the situation, but there was a lot of executives and volunteers in their back just trying to mobilize resource through Senate campaign to make sure that we are offering them, like we're providing them with whatever they can do. But of course, Gaza is always unique because, like, sometimes you have weeks and a month where a single supply can enter Gaza. You need to mobilize existing resources. You need to get updates about the situation, what is available, what we can use for the kids, what we can use for the families and supporting their families, looking also at a lot of vulnerable groups that they were not even addressed by different programs, because we try to target the families. Even the parents is part of our target group in scouting, because they are the people who are executing and supporting the journey for the scouts and kids learning. So several initiatives have been conducted by the scouts, psychologically, shelters management and structure and coordination, in addition to non-formal education in different shelters and like small classrooms, mobilizing, as I mentioned, students and university students. And I think advocating for what is happening was also part of the scouts globally about what is happening there. They were the source of information, and because Scouting Network is like a trusted network, so whatever we receive from the Scout in Gaza was amplified in different countries as a story from people that we know, we have connection with, people that we know their values, and to spread the word about the stories happening in Gaza with the scouts and with their people, with our people there. So I think like massive efforts were happening now with very limited like resources and spaces.
Of course, yes.
And
Thank you so much.
space. Yeah.
Thank you so much, May, for providing us with that insight into, how Scouts is essentially still a lifeline. It's a lifeline for these children and their families at a time when, formal education is just being obliterated. I want to highlight one thing you mentioned around the importance of, art and culture and using that for therapy, given what the children are going through. Yusuf, can you share a little bit more about, the challenges that, the Janine Cultural Centre where you work, how you guys are working around these challenges to education for young people in Janine, and also more broadly in the West Bank, and the work that your centre is doing, because I know it's so powerful and creative.
These challenges is not only for the, let's say, for the students only for themselves, but for all the Palestinian community. For example, Palestinian Authority is not able to offer, let's say, to pay the salaries because the Palestinian taxes is confiscated So our schools just only open for 2 or 3 days a week. And this is make more, let's say, more challenges on the Ministry of Education, how they can solve this problem. The matter of suffering is still continue for their families, how to offer the minimum basics for their needs, food. Last night a family called me, please can you offer us some medicine for our paralyzed daughter, because they are not able to bring or to buy medicine for their children. Even another guy, a man who came to the center yesterday, he's not able to find a place for his family to stay. These are the main challenges, how you can continue, how you can build an educational system in such conditions. If you are economically devastated, socially, economically, physically, psychologically, all of these aspects is targeted, the main pillars of the Palestinian community being completely, let's say, targeted in order to destroy the Palestinian spirit and sumud or resilience. But we assure that our Palestinian people, with all our efforts, we are unified, we are united in order to give all the support, all the abilities that we have for our local community. Our cultural center playing, let's say, partial of these efforts. For example, our cultural center managed to organize more than 15 or 20 art workshop for children, and also having psychological support. Also, maybe one of my friends, Chiara, she's from Italy. She's been involved in one of our sessions to give also the parents, because the parents also, they need to speak or to express themselves. Also, they need support for healing from the daily atrocities they face. Because as I mentioned, our community, all the community is being targeted. Here, if you walk on the main street, you will find shops are closed, the economical life being completely destroyed. Jenin is an agricultural area. Also, farmers, they are not able to sell their vegetables or fruits. So what we manage also on the international level, we managed to organize more than 6 art exhibitions in UK, in Japan, in Finland, and in Italy. And also this campaign still continue. Hopefully our musical group will perform next year, May or April or May in UK. And we are still working as much as we can in order to achieve let's say the minimum things that we are able to help for Palestinian education it's like, as Shakespeare said, it's to be or not to be. For us, education is not luxury to send you to Harvard or Oxford or Manchester, but it's a matter of existence and resistance for us, education. I know families who are deprive themselves from going to a restaurant, but they can pay they can borrow money to send their students to the best schools or colleges. For us, education is one of the main pillars that we will not sacrifice in order to be existed. Palestinian people, 3000 BC, they invented the alphabets.
Yes.
And you can find that
you.
in Tal Balata, you will find the sculptures there that mention that Palestinian who invented and presented that to the world. And it's a duty for everyone.
Yes, Yusuf, thank you so much. I think what you share is just so passionate and is a reminder that the right to education is a right to, existence for Palestinians as well. This is so important, that the work that you are all doing continues, and the international community continues to support it, especially in the creative ways that you are also providing support to families. in the current ongoing genocide. I want to come to Reham and ask you, Reham, what is it like for a young person in Palestine who lives under the occupation, trying to get an education and build a future for yourselves? What is it like, before we move on to talking a bit about the psychological impact of violence within education?
All the stories are connected. You can tell from the stories told by Yusuf and May what does really education means to us as Palestinians. So, talking about the real value of education and the real value of believing that you should build a very good future for yourself and for your family when you have a family, it's like a very big adventurous journey. You are the hero of the story, for example, if you want to be the hero of the story, and this is what Palestinians usually do. So most of the times you have to sacrifice, you have to take on the responsibilities without any complaints. You just have to be strong as much as you can because you are building something that it's harder than usual. So for any other person, any young person in the world, education is a very not simple by the process that you're going through, but it's a very soft thing, normal thing that you can get as a person. But here in Palestine, education is a very long journey in which you have to sacrifice and build really hard. And especially under what was mentioned by Yusuf, the economic crisis that's going on these days. Like many young people I know, many university students, they skip 1 semester, 2 semesters, and even 3 semesters because of the financial burden. Families cannot even pay for the universities. They pay now for the priorities, which is food and actually the livings, the simple things that people can get everyday life. So here you're talking about the financial burden, you're talking about the psychological effects, and you're talking about big responsibilities all over one person, young person who's trying to live normally, having his education and building his future too.
Thank you so much, Reham. I want to open up my next question, and you've all touched on the really debilitating psychological situation. I think about how any of these children are going to be able to ever overcome, mentally what trauma they've gone through. But as you said, the resilience is just, it's incredible. So as a young people in Palestine, you're all as activists seeing schools being bombed. There is always a fear that children can't return home again. What psychological impact does this constant violence that they are witnessing every day and the loss of safety and security that children should have, really have on their motivation to learn, or even to have hope for a better future? I want to just open that up to all of you to share your thoughts and reflections. May, do you want to share your thoughts on this?
Yeah, thank you, Latifa. I think this is one of also major questions that we always receive from our Scout members. Like, what can we do? Like, even if they had the luxury with less, like in West Bank or in another space that with all the violence they have in their day, but yet they also feel as a Scouts that they are accountable to move and do something. And every time we have an incident around, we have the Scouts asking us, leader, what can we do? And for us as a leadership, we think about like, okay, we cannot be in the front lines. We don't like, we are not into this violence lines, but yet I think we need always to fulfill their needs to take an action because they have this need of being an active citizen. We were teaching them and investing that in them, that you need to be an active citizen. But in Palestine, it's really challenging to be an active citizen and also to react, observing all the violence around you. And I keep telling them that scouting might, like, it's not can create these safe spaces for the kids to feel that they are building Palestine. We tell them every time, like, we need to have you as a thinkers and also active citizen in the country to build Palestine internally. We need people who are willing to stay and invest and be able to build it. You need to be an advocate for everything that is happening in our community and to send that to the world through our scouting network. You need to be always ready to react and do community actions. I feel like every time we have these questions and trying to explore what areas we can do for them to support other kids, because yes, they are under different type of, as it's mentioned in Jenin and Nablus and Hebron and Gaza, even within Gaza, there are different circumstances, and each kid is going through his own journey of psychological traumas. But yet in scouting, we try always to get them in a space that they are still givers. They have the power of giving, because this will let them feel that they are alive and they are not only as a vulnerable, but they are stepping into another block as someone who need to react and do something to make it happen, or to support Palestine. So every time you ask a small scout, what do you do for Palestine? They would say, I'm a scout. And I was like, okay, that's nice. What does that mean? Because for them, this fulfill their needs, that they are active citizen. It gives them the space and safe space. They know they are in the safe zones that they can react. Yet with all the limitations that were mentioned by Riham and Yusuf, that we cannot move, we cannot take them hike now because we are surrounded by checkpoints all over. We cannot do any regular activity in Gaza because it's not safe. We try to create small spaces for them. With all the limitations, I think there should be some really good collaboration on educational program and journey for these kids with the different levels of trauma. We cannot start as a regular curriculum and start opening the educational system, even when we have schools built now, if we have, inshallah, everything going back to Gaza, to normal life. But the start will be really challenging because we are now dealing with traumatized kids with a very harsh psychological level. For everything they have gone through, not only them, also the teachers, the delivery team, and the human resource, and their parents. So you need to tackle all these stakeholders in the system differently, with different actors that can really recognize the problem, and we build a holistic system to support them, to make sure that we're all collectively supporting the kids in their educational journey through formal or informal education, and create these spaces and areas of hope for them to take actions and to feel they are really active citizens in Palestine.
That's so incredible. And I think, just echoing what you say about, the importance that children have to feel a sense of confidence, despite the day-to-day trauma they are feeling, and that sense of that they are accomplishing something, they are going to be hopeful to have a future if they can have access to all of these incredible formal and non-formal education learning opportunities. Yusuf and Riham, did you want to both come in and share any thoughts on, the psychological impact and how, you're working towards ensuring that rehabilitation of young people?
Part of our work is that when I start any it's like artwork shop with them, I will tell them this time will pass, but it's very bad. Your grandparents, especially the children from the Jenin refugee camp, they lived the Nakba, and when you hear the children, they said that we used to hear from our grandfathers or parents about the Nakba, but now we are living it. How we will pass this? I told them, as your grandfathers, your grandparents, they've managed to build, let's say, their future. And there are many successful examples. Many people, they have PhD or they are professors. They are in all very professional, and some of them in theater, some from the Jenin refugee camp who perform in London, and they have Frangel festival at Edinburgh festival. So we give them idols. Let's say give them examples of successful people that you can do it. You can pass all of this hard time, and you will manage to to have a good future. When you see a girl, she's crying because she have no bag or she's not able to go. She was crying. I've been visiting a group with a Japanese doctor, a friend. She was crying because I will lose my future. I want to be a pharmacist. I told them, next time when I will come, you will see that, you will go to school. And in the second visit, really, she was at the school and she was very happy with that. So we have to lay the seeds of hope in the hearts and minds of our children that this day, this time, even it's very hard, it's very difficult, but the future, it will be our.
Yes,
So we work,
definitely.
and
Thank you.
also they were very happy also to meet other. This is a call from our group on behalf of Meg and Riham. We invite all of you to come and visit Palestine, to come and see. This is what I say, that don't believe what Palestinians said. Just come and see by yourself. Just live the reality. Live with the Palestinian people and find the right side that you want to stand with. This is our call, and this is an invitation for everyone who are able, who's willing to come and to visit Palestine. You are most welcome to be part of our activities.
Thank you so much, Yusuf. I think, just for all our participants, that's such a heartening way for them to also, take further action. And personally, having visited Palestine, I think there is no place that has a greater amount of resilience, on earth, really, right now. And I'm sure many participants will want to continue to support Palestinians by coming to visit and seeing for themselves the oppression and the continued injustice that you are all experiencing. I want to just to share thoughts on this before we talk a bit about resistance. I know that Yusuf's already brought this up. I just want to ask Reham if you'd like to share any reflections on the psychological impact that the genocide is having on a child's ability to learn.
Yeah. So it's like one thing I have in mind when Yusuf was telling the stories in May just a few minutes ago is like, I know we're not superheroes, we're just normal people who are passing through very, very bad circumstances. But like, I do really believe and I do really witness people who have strong will in the strong resistance to the point that you cannot even imagine. You're talking to a person who's 15, 17, 20 years old. It's like most of the cases we were like, for example, reading about psychology, and we know that traumatized person and people, they go through different stages of like recovery and just accepting the situation, stuff like that. But when you here in Palestine, when you're talking to someone who's been through very bad circumstances, and I'm talking about like life or death, you will be surprised by the amount of awareness and resistance they have. You can see the videos of small children in Gaza. You can ask them about their future. What do you want to be when you grow up? And you will be surprised by the questions. Like, normal kids anywhere else won't be even able to just pronounce the words correctly because of the traumatizing situation that he's going through. And it does has a great effect. But like one other last example, like many university students, they enrolled to the PRCS during the war, maybe with hope that they can do something humanitarian to help people in Gaza or people in the West Bank who's been oppressed in different forms, whether on the the checkpoints, or whether the assaults happens every day everywhere. So one day they suggested that like a campaign would go from the West Bank to Gaza, but like by Egypt. And is there anyone who's willing to go there and try to just put tents and provide the first aid and stuff like that? I was surprised by like every single person I know was volunteering. At the end of the day, it didn't work because we didn't get permissions even just to enter the Egyptian way to reach the borders with Gaza. But like the EU would be shocked by like university students or even younger. They are volunteers. Maybe they know a little bit about first aid and things that they can do, but they are killing themselves just to go. I want to go there, give something, even if I feel I'm not really in the mood or I'm not really like a very good help, for example. But they're trying to resist and actually do something. So it's very surprising, different.
Really strikes. Yeah,
If
it really.
I want to add
Yeah.
something.
Go ahead,
This
Yusuf.
is about an example how the Palestinian people are. It's like even they this is an example. It will be in a film. Hopefully, we will produce this film about. Hopefully, it will be shown in London, inshallah. And a case of a young man. He was 17 years old. He was supposed to go to Tawjihi, the final secondary exams. But that time they attack his neighborhood in the center of the camp, and the sniper shot him in the head, and he lost his sight. In the first meeting with him, he was saying that I will study and continue my education. In the second year, he applied for the secondary exams and he passed his exam. And now his dream to continue to the university. This is an example. Even if we lost our sight, but you will inside. This is something that even all, it's like miracles, This is something, a person who lost everything, let's say, he can't see the world, but he can see it in his heart. So this is an example of the resilience from young people who are willing to have a better future for them.
Thank you so much, Yusuf. I think, yeah, what you talk about, the resistance, the resilience and the courage and bravery, it just is moving. And I'm sure the participants who are listening today, have just gained so much more insight into how incredible, the Palestinians are in terms of how they're trying to preserve their future as well. There's one more question about how Palestinian youth-led initiatives are resisting erasure through education. May, can I come to you to ask, what can you tell us about the resilience of this generation? Something we're seeing, in all of our media and online, but you tell us from a Palestinian person's perspective about the resilience of this generation of young people, and then we will move on for Q&A shortly.
Yeah, thank you, Latifa. I recall many stories we've gone through when we were I was born in the, maybe after first intifada, grown up in the second intifada, and then a lot of things happening. And luckily, I was also be able to work in Gaza for many years. And visiting Gaza a lot was really a lesson that you learn a lot from these people and their resilience. And the first time I recall I went to Gaza, I was like a little bit like afraid and think always that how it will look like, how life is there in Gaza. And then I discovered that these people are really resilient. Every day they work and they do a lot to really stay alive with everything, with all the borders closed, with this tiny space. But yet they have a lot of educational institutions, centers. People are every day, like for us Palestinians, the resilience is something that you practice every day. It's not something that you do under the circumstances, not during Intifada or during the genocide. It's something like I keep telling them, like living in Palestine is a daily resilient practice that you do. Like we wake up every day, all your options is limited, or everything you plan for is affected by like the occupation, movement, opportunities, travel, whether we have schools or not, as they mentioned, Yusuf and Riham. We wake up every morning. Do we have schools or not this day? We don't know. Maybe it will be shifted or not. Every single thing you try to obtain is limited, but yet people keep fighting and people is always standing every morning. And kids, not all of kids, they like to go to school. Like every day, sometimes you have resistance from the kids that we don't want to go to school. But the moment they know that they are not allowed to go to school because of occupation, they start nagging because like, we want to go to school, we want to run, we want to like, it's a unique shift because every time they feel that the occupation is limiting their education, we see them keen more to learn. While if we tell them like, yalla, go to school, it's a luxury, sometimes they say, oh no, I'm sick today or something. Like, it is the way that they were growing up fighting through their education or having this resistance through their education. As Yusuf mentioned, we are all raised that education is resistant for us and we need to keep it moving. And that's why I recall, even in the second intifada, there was this informal school. I have learned there for 2 months. Like, it's in every single time in our journey as kids and as youth and then as adults. And now it's time for us to come and give back. And this is the accountability I like in all the Palestinians, that we have this giving back accountability to our country because we feel that it is vulnerable and it is under occupation. And if we're looking at all now, of course, the campaigns and the support from the world, but initially we are the actors on the ground. Unfortunately, no one can act from our ground but us because no one can access Palestine. So we have all this support, we have all this mobilization of resource, but on the ground, it's only us with also some few lucky foreigners who can access as a support for the organizations. But we have a big responsibility and accountability on our shoulders. And this really a good trigger for us to keep moving and to keep, and also seeing the kids is really always the voice of hope for us. And in
Yes.
education, we need to be patient. It's like like a 5-year investment until you see the result. It's not something quick that you can harvest easily. You need to be
No.
patient. You need to invest a lot so that you can harvest maybe after 5 years and you celebrate and you feel satisfied. MashaAllah, this generation really nailed it because of the
Yes.
investment we have done. So it's a
Thank
unique
you so
situation,
much.
but alhamdulillah. Thank
It
you.
is really absolutely, incredible that you said, like, you guys, what you're doing on the ground and what organizations are doing. I think everybody who's joined today's session, has been incredibly inspired. I want to allow now for participants to share any questions. You are able to post a question for all the participants on the Q&A using the Q&A function, or you can post it in the chat, in the webinar chat. We will wait to see if any questions come through. And in the meantime, I'm going to ask for a wrapping up question to all of the speakers. In one word, how would you describe your long-term hope for the future of education for Palestinian children and youth? You can also share any final reflection or thoughts for our participants. I'm going to, I can see there's no questions come through yet, so I will ask Riham to go first on my final question about one word you would use to describe your long-term hope for the future of education.
Yeah, like I'm feeling that I want to answer the question with the word hope itself. It's weird, right? Yeah, it's like yeah, feeling the hope of hoping for a better future. Actually, hope it is the thing that let you wake up next morning doing the things that you're doing every day, and not just lying down on bed waiting for for your destination or waiting for the next victim to come. So actually, hope is the source of life here, really, and
Great.
strong belief.
Thank you so much, Riham, for sharing that. We do have a question from Mira, who is the president of the of World YWCA, and I would like to ask Mira to speak.
Thank you, Latifa. First of all, let me thank you all for the really very good session, very enlightening, very eye-opening session. As Latifa said, I'm the president of the World YWCA, and I'm very proud to say I'm a Palestinian. for the first time, a Palestinian is heading such a large global women organization. And this, Bullet and Dove seminars is part of a series of something we've been doing for years now to promote and to promote awareness around how conflict affects populations, especially women and girls, being a women organization, and we look at different aspects. Palestine has been very, very high on our agenda since 1967. Since the occupation, I think we have been one of the first organizations to issue statements around this illegal occupation and call for an end to occupation and call for a free Palestine. So this is not new for us, and we will continue to struggle with all the women around the world, and it is very important for the all people around the world to understand that occupation is not just a physical military one. It has many aspects, and we have seen it. Education is a major one. I have been a student at Birzeit University in the 70s. I have personally witnessed the army coming into the university and beating students, taking us as prisoners, and all that. So, this harassment, this imposition, this all these challenges have been going on since the first day of occupation. And I think Israel knows very well what it's doing, because education for Palestinians has always been high on our agenda. We have always been proud of our level of education compared not only to the Arab world, even to the rest of the world. We have exported brains to the world. We have led, so many important positions globally, and we continue to do that. The unfortunate thing is the scale and the intensity of what is happening now to education is we never expected that, really. We never thought it will come to that level. I just want to say something in addition to everything that you've said is, I am worried, and we continue as YWCA to be worried about the gender perspective of this and what is happening, especially to young girls and women. Because in our view, as a YWCA, and there are lots of researchers, when education is being attacked, women actually are being, implicated and impacted in different ways and more intensely. And even when you conduct all these, activities, formal, non-formal, I wonder about the level of participation of women and young girls. And I'm saying this because in times of lack of security and severe aggression and severe violence, which we're seeing on the ground, parents become very, very, really, afraid to send their young girls to schools or to even allow them to participate. Can you comment on that? And can you say something about what has been, happening to women in these circumstances, and if you see any difference on the ground? And also, I have another question to you. Lots of my friends around the world are saying, "Oh, congratulations! Now there is a peace treaty." I laugh when I hear this, and this is my personal, very personal, of course, opinion. We've seen that before. We've seen, how Israel has broken every ceasefire, agreement, and this drama that has been, engineered, and this peace treaty that has been signed. I'm not sure. I don't want to comment on that. I'm not a politician. I don't want to make any political statements here. But we see that this aggression is continuing on the ground despite the ceasefire. Since the ceasefire, there's been even intensified aggression in Gaza. So how do you see the possibility of continuing with education and with all of that, given not only the situation, given that this aggression is continuing and we don't know what to predict, we don't know for how many years, we don't know even how to handle that. Can you comment
Thank you.
on these two issues? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mira. Does anybody from the panel want to quickly come in on that? I'm just conscious of the time, and we do have one more question from the participants, which I can also ask if one of the panelists want to respond to, which is how is education funded at present in Gaza, as there are so many challenges in securing just a livelihood. So, Yusuf, do you want to respond to Mira, and
Yes,
also someone else can come in?
thank you so much for your contribution, Mira, and for highlighting some point about the atrocities, about your experience. Also, I graduated from Al Najah National University. We've been under the siege for 4 days without food and water in 1991, just because we practice one of our rights is for student election council. Regarding the participant in our cultural center, most of our activities is like half of percentage of the participant are female. So don't worry about that. They know that it's very important for male or female to have their right of education. Palestinian minds are open, and also they support their daughters to go to schools and also to participate in the, let's say, in such activities, whether arts or even music or dance or theater. This is I'm talking about something that I am working daily on that. Regarding the political, let's say, future, or how the situations, really we are controlled by, let's say, maniacs who are just, they wake up on the morning with some crazy ideas and try to implement it on just, I don't know how they think. And also their people who elected them, how they elected such a stupid ones in order to market them for us here to control or to suppress our people. But hopefully the future will be more bright and bring, let's say, hope to our region and people, and Gaza return back to rebuild Gaza. But as
Thank
it's
you
very
so
important
much.
thing for us as Palestinians to be united and
Yes.
work together.
Thank you so much, Yusuf. And I just want to thank everybody for joining today. Any final words from you, May and Riham, and just before we have to finish the session today?
Thank you, Mira, for your contribution and the key questions you asked. I think, like, quickly, from a Palestinian experience, I think there are always challenges, and there will be always few women leading the way. And this is what have been happening in different areas, different spaces, and different ecosystems within the Palestinian. Yes, we do appreciate, I think the Palestinian families now, they recognize the need for the female and to focus more. And also we are also, the organizations are accountable to take this into consideration. But now not only the vulnerable, in our case as the young female, but youth are vulnerable now. We have a lot of disabilities in Gaza that all our systems are not equipped to even give them the opportunity and to participate and being actively participating in the community. So I think from Palestinian perspective, we have the trust and the faith that the community will be supporting and recognizing this as a priority. Also consider some role models that will always lead the way and take the step and the initial steps, and we need to support these role models. And as an institution organizational perspective, we need to make sure that we reflect that in our design and invest more resource to make it happen, especially for the women and girls and all the vulnerable groups that are currently happening. So yeah, I think this is my final. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those final reflections and responding to the question. And Riham, do we have one final word from you as we wrap up today's incredibly insightful and powerful session?
Well, I'd like just to thank everybody from the panelists and everybody who had the time to listen to our small, tiny stories. We're only reflecting a very small part of the reality. That's what I want to say. Even everything we're trying to say and everything that we're trying to reflect, it's only a small part of what's going on really on ground. Yeah, that's it.
Yes. Thank you so much, Reham. I think the tapestry of everything you have all shared today is incredible. We are sharing in the chat function a video that we didn't have time to show. These are all, personal, real lives and who are, affected every day by the genocide and the occupation. I just want to recognize the incredible heroic work that May, Reham, Yusuf, and so many Palestinians, on the front line are doing to ensure education continues in whichever way it can. So I want to take, this moment to thank you all, to say our thoughts and prayers remain with you all in these difficult times. To just remind the participants that there is one more Bullet and Dove listening session that will be hosted by World YWCA before the end of the year. So please keep an eye out on the social media and website. I just want to thank you all for participating and listening today. We hope that you will continue to support all the Palestinian speakers who were on today's session, and you'll be able to see their work and continue to support them going forward. Thank you all for joining today. Take care and goodbye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much all for this opportunity. Thank you.